Have you ever found yourself exhausted from giving, chasing, and waiting for someone to finally see your worth? Are you tired of holding on, hoping that they will become the person you always believed they could be? If you've ever reached that pivotal moment when your heart whispers, "Enough," this video is for you. Today, we are diving into the profound and transformative journey of the divine feminine when she decides to stop chasing and start choosing herself. You will discover how this powerful shift is not a collapse, but a quiet revolution, a rising into clarity, peace, and self-empowerment. We will explore how this decision changes everything, altering the energy dynamics between the masculine and feminine, and how the silence becomes louder than words. By the end of this video, you will gain a deeper understanding of what it truly means to reclaim your energy, embrace your own path, and step into your power without feeling the need to prove your worth. You'll see how the masculine, once accustomed to being chased, is now faced with an undeniable pull towards you because your decision to choose yourself becomes a magnet for transformation. If you are ready to explore this journey of reclaiming your power, hit that subscribe button, share your story in the comments, and stay with us until the end. You won't want to miss how this quiet revolution unfolds, because choosing yourself changes everything. Number 1. The turning point, choosing self over illusion. Have you ever felt that subtle yet undeniable shift within your soul? The whisper that says, "This is enough." This moment doesn't arrive abruptly or in a fit of rage. Instead, it unfolds slowly, like a sacred unraveling of a tapestry that has long been woven with hope, devotion, and silent sacrifice. The divine feminine doesn't just wake up one day and walk away. No, it's a gradual awakening, a realization that dawns in quiet moments when she starts to see the truth with new clarity. It's the moment she feels the weight of everything she's been carrying, not just her own burdens, but those of the connection, of him, and of a love that was never reciprocated in the same soul-deep way she had given. This journey to choosing herself is not born from anger or resentment. It is birthed from wisdom and self-respect. She loved with the entirety of her soul, standing steadfast through the storms, waiting with unwavering grace, and forgiving acts that many would deem unforgivable. She held space for growth, whispered prayers into the silence, and sent light into the darkest corners. Yet, there comes a time when the realization hits her heart, a knowing that she can no longer bear the weight of one-sided love. It is not an impulsive decision, but rather an awakening to her own worth, to the sacredness of her energy, and to the truth that her heart is not awaiting room for someone else's transformation. In that pivotal moment, when she finally stops, truly stops, something profound shifts in the energetic field between them. The invisible thread that once kept them in a cycle of longing and unfulfilled promises suddenly goes still. The energy that once fueled the dance of chasing and being chased dissipates, and in that stillness, a new strength emerges within her. She no longer seeks validation from a love that couldn't meet her where she stood. She no longer pours her light into a void that cannot reflect it back. This is the turning point, the moment she chooses herself over the illusion. It's not a collapse, it's a rise. It's the sacred realization that her love, her light, and her peace are worth protecting. In choosing herself, she reclaims her power, and in doing so, she sets her soul free. Have you ever felt this shift? Have you experienced the liberation that comes from finally choosing yourself? Share your story in the comments, or simply type "I choose me" to affirm your journey of self-love and growth. As we reflect on this powerful turning point, take a moment to honor your own journey. Have you ever felt that quiet yet profound shift within, where choosing yourself became the only path forward? Your story matters, and sharing it could inspire someone who is still seeking their own moment of clarity. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, or simply type "I choose me" to affirm your commitment to self-love and empowerment. Don't forget to like the video if this message resonates with you, and let's continue this journey together. Number 2. The masculine awakening, feeling the absence. Have you ever experienced that subtle yet profound shift in your soul, the moment when your love stops feeling like a relentless pursuit and starts resembling a peaceful release? This transformation doesn't occur overnight, nor does it come with grand announcements or dramatic gestures. Instead, it unfolds quietly, like a gentle dawn breaking through the remnants of a long, restless night. It's that moment when you realize that love doesn't have to be about proving yourself or constantly extending your hand towards someone who remains emotionally distant. Instead, it becomes about reclaiming your power and honoring your own heart. For the divine masculine, this realization hits differently. It's not something he consciously understands at first. It doesn't register immediately in his mind. Rather, it resonates deep within his soul, a subtle, almost haunting echo of loss. It's not the kind of loss that screams in desperation, but rather a sense of absence that quietly lingers, making him question why something feels so different. It's the space left behind by the one who once reached out so often, who vibrated with longing and love, now replaced by a serene presence, one that no longer waits for validation or reciprocation. He might not fully comprehend what has changed, but he knows something has shifted. There's an unmistakable void where your energy used to reside, and he can't quite place why it feels so unsettling. It's as if the dynamic he once took for granted has crumbled, leaving behind a profound silence that echoes with lessons unspoken. He senses that the person who once carried the weight of the connection has chosen to release it, not out of bitterness, but from a place of self-love and acceptance. This newfound peace within you doesn't mean you stopped loving. It simply means you stopped pouring all your energy into something that wasn't honoring your worth. You didn't stop caring, you just stopped chasing. You stopped allowing your heart to be a waiting room for someone else's awakening, and that single decision changes everything. In this transformation, your love doesn't diminish, it evolves. It becomes a quiet strength, an unspoken affirmation that you deserve to be loved fully and without hesitation. The masculine may not be able to articulate why your absence feels so profound, but he can feel the difference in his soul. It's not the withdrawal of love that unsettles him. It's the newfound sense of completeness you exude, a completeness that no longer needs his validation to thrive. This shift reverberates through his energy, awakening something dormant within him, a recognition that perhaps he took your presence for granted. Perhaps he overlooked the quiet sacrifices you made, the countless times you reached out even when your spirit was weary. Now, he sees that your peace is not a punishment for him, but a declaration of your own worth. And in this space of newfound clarity, he is left to confront his own feelings, the ache of knowing that the one who once stood steadfastly by his side has chosen to stand for herself. It's not a loss born out of anger or resentment. It's a liberation rooted in love. Love for yourself, love for your journey, and love for the peace you've finally embraced. As the masculine contemplates this shift, he begins to understand that this absence is not a rejection, but an invitation, a call to awaken to his own heart and to step forward, not out of obligation, but from a place of genuine connection. Whether or not he answers that call is beyond your control, but your choice to honor your spirit has already set a new standard, a standard where love doesn't compromise your peace or drain your light. In reclaiming your power, you've transformed the connection itself. You've moved from longing to living, from waiting to thriving, and in that beautiful transition, you've shown him and the universe that your love is not just a gift to be taken for granted, but a sacred presence to be cherished and respected. Imagine this. There's a woman named Elena who, for years, poured her heart and soul into a connection that seemed one-sided. She would always be the first to reach out, the one to apologize, and the one to nurture the bond even when it felt like pulling teeth. Her love was pure, but it often felt like she was chasing shadows, waiting for the other person to meet her halfway. One day, after yet another unanswered message and a night filled with restless thoughts, Elena sat down with herself and asked the most important question: what am I really waiting for? In that quiet moment, she realized that love should not feel like a constant effort to prove her worth. It should not be about convincing someone of her value or constantly hoping they would see her heart. From that day forward, Elena chose herself. She didn't make a grand declaration or post a dramatic goodbye. Instead, she simply stopped trying to keep a connection alive that wasn't nourishing her spirit. She stopped checking her phone every minute, waiting for a response. Instead, she channeled her energy into things that made her feel alive. Her passions, her dreams, her well-being. Gradually, the peace she had been longing for found her, not because the love had faded, but because she had finally stopped giving her power away. And then, something unexpected happened. The person who once seemed indifferent began to notice the change. Messages that once went unanswered now arrived with curiosity and concern. They sense the absence not just of her presence, but of her energy. What Elena didn't realize was that her decision to choose herself had shifted the dynamic entirely. No longer chasing, no longer waiting, she had become a beacon of strength and self-respect. In the end, Elena's story is not about winning someone back, but about reclaiming her own light. And that choice, choosing peace over pursuit, became the true turning point. Number 3, a new frequency. From chasing to liberation. Have you ever felt the weight of holding a connection together, carrying the energy of a relationship as if it were solely your responsibility? This is often the journey of the divine feminine, whose essence naturally anchors and grounds the union. Her love is unwavering, her presence steadfast, and her willingness to nurture knows no limits. But there comes a time when the weight becomes too heavy, not because love has faded, but because carrying the entire connection has drained her soul. It's in this realization that a profound transformation begins, a shift from chasing to liberation. When the divine feminine fully steps into her truth, something powerful happens. She no longer strives to pull him along, no longer pours her energy into convincing or guiding. Instead, she chooses to rise into her own light, rooted in her essence, free from the cycle of chasing. This shift is not an act of rebellion or resistance. It's a reclamation of her own power. The energy recalibrates, resetting itself to a place of stillness, presence, and profound self-love. Gone are the loops of karmic repetition masquerading as loyalty, and in their place, a serene, unwavering sense of peace emerges. This moment of alignment doesn't come from a place of anger or retaliation. It's not about proving a point or punishing the masculine for not stepping up. Rather, it's a spiritual awakening, a deep inner knowing that her energy is sacred and not to be compromised by waiting or chasing. The feminine's detachment is not revenge. It's the result of embracing her soul's calling. She understands that love does not thrive on pursuit. It blossoms when rooted in authenticity and self-worth. In the stillness that follows, the masculine begins to notice the absence of her presence, not as a form of rejection, but as a void where he once found solace and guidance. He may not have realized how much he leaned on her energetic strength until it was no longer holding the space. It's not a punishment, but a wake-up call, an invitation to rise on his own, to stand in his own truth. The silence becomes a mirror, reflecting what he must now confront within himself. She's not closing the door on love, nor is she abandoning the connection. She's simply choosing no longer to stand in the doorway, holding it open for someone who remains outside, unsure whether to enter. The feminine is no longer attached to the outcome because she has chosen herself, her path, her peace, her wholeness, and in that choice, the energy shifts. What once felt like an endless cycle of longing now becomes a peaceful, sacred embrace of self-sovereignty. This new frequency invites liberation, not just for her, but for both. It's a call for the masculine to step up or step away, but no longer to linger in uncertainty. As the feminine releases the need to hold it all together, she reclaims her power, creating a space where true love can either take root or dissolve with grace. This is not the end of love, it's the beginning of love rooted in truth. It's the realization that sometimes letting go is the most loving act one can offer, both to oneself and to the other. In the end, the divine feminine's choice to stop chasing is not about giving up, it's about allowing love to evolve, to transform, and to become something deeper, something that honors both souls. If you've made it this far, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Have you ever experienced that shift from chasing to liberation? How did it change your perspective, your energy, or your sense of self-worth? Your story might inspire someone else on a similar path. Share your thoughts in the comments below, or simply type "I choose my peace" to affirm your commitment to self-love and inner alignment. Your voice matters, and your experience is a powerful part of this collective awakening. Number 4, the sacred surrender, a rebirth of self. Have you ever reached that pivotal moment where you realize that holding on is no longer an act of love, but a quiet surrender to what is no longer aligned? This is not the end of her story, it's the end of an old chapter, a chapter where she poured herself out, reaching for a love that hadn't yet rooted itself in truth. It's not a moment of loss, but of profound transformation. She is no longer willing to pour from an empty cup, to sacrifice her essence for the possibility of a love that does not meet her where she stands. Now, the energy is different. The field is still. No more chasing, no more yearning. The connection that once seemed so full of promise is now quiet, almost as if it's holding its breath. But in that quietness, something powerful emerges. The feminine is rising. She is creating a new frequency, one that does not anchor itself to pain or resonate with the echoes of half-love. She refuses to entertain indecision or tolerate the restless cycle of delay. Instead, she is stepping into her own power, rooted in authenticity, grounded in self-worth. From this sacred space, only what is real will endure. The illusions that once felt comforting in their familiarity are dissolving, replaced by the unwavering truth of her own sovereignty. She no longer measures her value through his choices or his readiness. Instead, she measures it through the strength of her own heart and the unwavering commitment to herself. This is where the journey truly begins. Not when he chooses her, but when she finally, fully chooses herself. In that choice lies a quiet revolution, a rebirth of self. No longer willing to bend or shrink, she stands tall in her truth, knowing that what is meant for her will find its way, not through force or fear, but through alignment and grace. In the stillness of this surrender, she discovers that choosing herself is not an act of leaving love behind, but an invitation for the most authentic love to arrive. She is no longer waiting to be seen, validated, or chosen. She has already chosen herself, and in that sacred act, she awakens to a life that mirrors her deepest truth. The feminine rises, not in opposition to love, but in celebration of her own worth. And from this place of wholeness, a new chapter unfolds, one marked by peace, purpose, and the undeniable beauty of self-love. When the divine feminine says she's done, the world often misunderstands her. They assume she's broken, that she's given up, or that she's run out of love. But what they fail to see is the quiet revolution unfolding within her, the profound shift from giving her all to reclaiming her soul. Being done is not about giving up on love. It's about ceasing to abandon herself. It's about waking up one morning and realizing that carrying the weight of two souls was never her purpose. Letting go isn't about closing the door on him. It's about ending the struggle and choosing to nurture her sacred essence. It's a powerful act of self-respect, a declaration that her worth is no longer negotiable. Reaching this point doesn't mean that love has faded. It means that the struggle has. It's not about abandoning the connection, but rather, it's about honoring the connection to herself. Have you ever experienced that moment when the fight wasn't for love anymore, but for your own soul? When you realized that thriving meant walking away from the chaos and stepping into your power? It's a transformative moment when she no longer fights for a version of the story that her soul no longer aligns with. It's not about rejecting the love, it's about refusing to sacrifice herself in the name of it. The divine feminine doesn't stop loving, she simply starts loving herself more. So I want to hear from you. Have you ever been at that crossroads where love didn't end, but the fight did? Where choosing yourself wasn't a betrayal, but an awakening? Share your experience in the comments below. Let's support each other in this journey of honoring our worth. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and make sure to subscribe for more insights on the journey of self-love and spiritual awakening. Remember, you are worthy of a love that lifts you, not one that weighs you down. Stay true to your soul's path, and I'll see you in the next video.